I need to be like right here.
Well, it's already running. So. Hello, everyone. Anyone who's here. I tried to schedule this a little bit ahead of time so that
Question.
people could see it.
When people join, do they start from the beginning or do they hop in where we're at?
If anybody clicks on the link right now, they will hop in where we're at, but I believe that you can, if you want to, you can drag the little to the beginning and you can watch it from the beginning. It's just that when you see the chat will be current. No, the chat will be current. Gotcha. So you'll be seeing the chat from what's actually happening right now and what we're talking about right now, but you'll be watching wherever you started. So anyway, I'm going to just talk for a minute here, get all set up. We are going to be doing a live stream like this every Friday, 1 p.m. EST. Still trying to work out like the technical stuff, a couple different devices. We've got some Wi-Fi issues. Last time,
new Bluetooth mic.
Yeah, the last time that we were here, my computer just was totally freaking out and like glitching. I couldn't even read the screen. The feed was getting interrupted. We watched it afterwards, and it was kind of choppy. So. Today we're using like an iPad and we moved the Wi-Fi router, so we're hoping that everything goes well. And hi Steffi, and yeah, we're gonna move forward. So we did a video last week. I've been talking about twin flames on the channel for like quite a while. Had quite a few different experiences, and okay.
Can't hear.
Can
we hook up
what
the mic?
about? No, we can't because I don't know if this is charged. I can't see the charge level on this. What about you? My mother is on Hat Trick Farm. Can you hear us, or is that on Steffi's end? Well, if we pull it closer, it's going to be really like this. Hey there, how are you? We're just trying to get through all of the technical difficulties here. All this technology, I just keep thinking about it. The more technology comes out, like, it's glitchy, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to, there's always problems, like it's just like it never like works like the way it's supposed to. It takes like more time to set up the technical end of these things than it actually does to do the live stream itself. Okay, yeah, so she's right, you just needed to move a little closer. And we bought some like microphones that are like dual clip-on mics so that we could do like outside stuff and we could do like workouts and stuff. But the mic it has to be plugged into the to the iPad, so we can't charge it at the same time. So it's just, we're trying to get all the kinks worked out here. But anyway, so last week we came on and we talked a little bit just about our experience, about like the twin flame thing. We're gonna keep going on that tack a little bit, and we're gonna be delving into a bunch of different topics. But basically, we really are passionate about helping people in this area, helping people become whole and well. And, you know, I really have a focus on sort of navigating the current landscape, you know, just what's going on in the world, and really trying to prepare for that the best that we can and make it through all of this craziness. So anyway, we figured we'd come on today and do a little bit of a Q&A. We don't know how many people are going to be here. But basically, those of you who've been watching the channel are familiar with my story. I would like for you to share a little bit more about your story on here so that people can get to know you better. And maybe we could make that a little bit the focus of today, kind of letting everyone get to know you and your story. Why don't we start off with that? Why don't we start off with like how you got here?
Okay, I wasn't really prepared for all of that.
Just
but,
got along with it. How did you get into metaphysics?
Well, let's see. It was a pretty slow process coming into it, but
I was in college, right? You were in college. You were playing volleyball.
yes. My journey, I guess, began when I retired from playing volleyball due to 3 herniated discs in my back. And so a big motive behind healing myself was to get out of pain. I have successfully done that, and now I guess specialized. I don't know about specialized, but I because I put in so much work into the research of the mechanics regarding the lower back and just lumbar region in general. I have created a lot of different sequences that not only address the fascia, but also, oh, there was a message.
Yeah, they.
No, there was a message from Steffi saying it's blurry and it sounds.
Oh, up at the top.
Yeah.
Was it at the top or
Yes,
in the live chat?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we're really having some technical issues here, so we're trying different devices. We are moving the Wi-Fi router around. We're doing a lot of different stuff. So as long as it's watchable and you can like hear us, you know, we're just gonna roll with it. If it gets to a point like where you literally can't understand us, or you can't hear us, or like it's literally not watchable, then let us know. But apart from that, we're just gonna roll. Okay, thanks, Crystal. Greatest ever left a comment a minute ago and said Sydney sounds wise beyond her years.
Why, thank you.
Yes, she is in a lot of ways.
Old soul.
So, back to the topic at hand here. You were going into exercise science like kind of before you dealt with all the major injuries, right? Like you decided on that prior to that, or am I wrong in the order?
Well, my story gets very complicated, and I mix up certain timelines of certain events. I guess that was something else.
Well, I just want to understand, like, you know, I want people to get to know you a little bit better, and just talk a little bit about, you know, your end of things. But we can switch gears for a minute. So yeah, from my point of view, one of the first things that happened when I met Sydney was that, like, I felt like a frequency shift, and I was right in the middle of about, well, I guess it was like last February, March. I'd unplugged from everything. I had started kind of like my digital detox. I was jogging every day at that point. I basically getting rid of like social media and all that was like really good for me. I'd also decided to stop doing research for a while and just sort of be in the experience of life instead of like trying to always like find more and more information and that type of thing. So I'd gotten into this place where I was really just trying to embody what I'd learned and put my, you know, practice what I preached, that type of thing. And I was actually at one of the highest points in my life. You know, I was like, as you may know, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, I've struggled with drugs and alcohol earlier in my life, and been clean basically from the hard drugs for like 6 or 7 years at this point. Hadn't really been having any alcohol issues for a few years, and I'd really started to try to get out there a little bit and start socializing instead of like doing everything through the screens, right? Which I started to see as sort of a problem, right? And especially it's the research into looking at things like the grid and the Arionic eighth sphere and all of these things and the luciferic influences and the things that we're seeing right now. I decided that I thought it would be the most healthy thing to pull back from that type of stuff. So I'd done that, and I met Sydney at like a really good high point. Like I was bright, I was vibrant, I was making a lot of friends. I had a great support system. I was a part of the Kava community, which was really, really helpful for me. I'm still very grateful to the Kava community, and like, you know, shout out to anybody that may see this. That really helped me to. It's almost like I learned how to like socialize again. Like I learned how to like be a part of life again, and then when I met Sydney, it was just like, it was like Sydney reminded me of like almost every single important person in my life, including the other people that I've spoken about on the channel that, you know, when I've talked about the twin flame topic, like these other reflections. It's almost like, it's like aspects of Sydney, or aspects that Sydney was able to access, were being reflected to me. And it was a very, very like overwhelming experience, like overwhelmingly positive, but like an overwhelming experience. There would be times when, you know, Sydney would tell me a bunch of stuff, or you know, we would be talking and I'd be like, man, she like really reminds me of like my cousin right now, or she really reminds me of my sister, or like she really reminds me of this person or that person. And it happened like a lot. Like it was really, really like almost kind of strange. And our lives are like very, very mirrored. Like if you look at like, you know, Sydney's mother, for example, is a lot like my father. Sydney's father is a lot like my mother. And like if you look at the dynamics between, you know, me and my family and her family, like there's so many mirrored similarities, but it's almost like mirrored in the opposite way. The other thing that we noticed that we touched on last week was the fact that our lives are also mirrored. So like it was happening in real time, where like we would text each other, call each other, and Sydney would say, hey, I'm going out right now to do this. And I'd be like, weird, that's really weird, I'm doing the same thing. Or she would text me something that I was thinking, or, you know, I would send her a video or something, and she'd be like, oh yeah, I just watched that this morning. Like, and this stuff was happening like not just once in a while, it was happening like multiple times a day. And then we started talking about our history. And like if you look at like any point in our timelines, like if we look back at like say 2015, it's like I will have been doing X, Y, and Z, and Sydney will have been doing something that was like mirrored and like identical in a way, but like the opposite in another way. And it's like we looked back like years and years and years, and it was like the same patterns playing themselves over and over again.
Dealt with a lot of the same archetypes.
Yeah. So, you know, I kind of just want to share about the experience that I had, because I had shared so much about like, you know, my journey coming into this, and then I kind of feel like, you know, I kind of feel like I dropped off and like, you know, kind of left everybody, you know, I don't know what the expression I'm looking for is, but like I just, yeah, I left everybody hanging on here, you know, because I know that there are plenty of you that, you know, that liked, you know, hearing about what was going on and like hearing about my perspective on things. You know, I'm under no illusions that like I have all the answers. I'm under no illusions that like I'm perfect by any means. Like I'm under no illusions that I'm some kind of guru, but like I feel like I have put a lot of stuff together in my own way that like, you know, is very different. It's a very different perspective from really anybody else that I've seen on here. And I've talked about things that I've not seen other people talk about. However, there was a viewer who just left a comment named Sentinel, who talked about someone named Ireland Clark, I think, and they had said that this person was talking a lot about Keylontic science as well. So I think there's like a larger awareness of that type of information coming into the field and coming into like the so-called like, you know, twin flame collective. And I think that people are really starting to embrace that, those of us who resonate with it. And that's really what I want to see. I really want to see people dive into this material and see what they get from it, see what types of connections, you know, they make, see how it corresponds to their experience. Because as I was reading this information and listening to Ashiana Dean's lectures, like it was amazing. Let me back up here. I don't know why. I really don't like this setup because you comments show for like 3 seconds and then go away. Would you rather save Chadwick Boseman or George Floyd? I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Those are not topics that I want to discuss, and I don't know who the first person is. The second person that you mentioned, again, not an area that I get into, mainly because there's so much propaganda in the mainstream media, and these topics are used to polarize people in ways that I see as very dysfunctional and unhealthy. It really puts people in a state of tension at each other's throats, and not my area. I have and would talk about how the mainstream media and the people behind that purposefully put stories and information and propaganda out in order to divide people. Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of the Black Panthers very vaguely, but I don't know much about them. I've seen historical references and things of that nature, but it's definitely not my area of expertise and not something that I want to talk about on a live. So, this is Sydney, and Sydney, Awesome Adam, I believe, is asking what your Instagram is.
Oh, my Instagram is Simple Synergy, and simple is spelled with a Y, so SYMPLE, and then Synergy. No underscores, no periods, just plain simple.
Yeah, Sydney's main gig right now is TikTok.
Yeah, I'm not on Instagram too much. The little that I do on Instagram is just kind of repost things to my story from time to time. But where I'm posting and putting most of my time when it comes to social media right now is on TikTok. I've been doing live classes on there and discussions similar to this, but more so focused on bioenergetics and body mechanics, posture, things of that nature. I definitely feel most confident with my words when I'm guiding movement or speaking on anything in regards to like human body function, or human being function, because the human body would limit that to just the mechanics, but I like to dive into the metaphysical anatomy and how different areas of our body are metaphysically symbolic of particular energetic themes, energetic patterns, and even archetypes tie in with that. So yeah, I could talk about all that stuff for days and days and days, but
and that definitely corresponds to and is a good segue for what I was talking about earlier. So when I met Sydney, I was I guess I was in like the highest frequency I've ever been in, and I was doing my spiritual practice every day. I was doing breath work every day, jogging every day. Everything within me was functioning at a high level, and I would say that I was operating, I guess, more in what you would call the higher realm, so to speak. And so I was really able to get like a bird's eye view on everything that was going on. Things came up. There were times when like I would get very triggered, or situations would come up, right? And I was able to see in real time how that was a reflection of like energies that I still had in my system, like traumas that were still present. Crystal asks, Sydney, if you ever do those movement videos in YouTube, that is absolutely information I'd tune into here. Yeah, so we're gonna be doing that for sure.
yeah, and we're gonna start doing hopefully classes on the YouTube channel as well, I think is the plan.
Yeah.
So yeah, we put a live stream on when I was doing a TikTok live. I think that was last Friday. I wasn't able to manage keeping up with both the YouTube and the TikTok, and not gonna lie, there was a few times where I got kind of wrapped up in the comment section of the TikTok. I forgot the YouTube was even over there still, so probably going to have to do just one at a time for the future. But Yeah, feel free to join me in live classes on TikTok too, and hopefully we'll be able to do that.
Greatest ever says, love doing that class last
cool.
week, made my day.
Oh, cool.
And let's see.
I know the camera angle wasn't the best, and I'm not sure how well the audio picked up, but yeah.
Adam asks if you do yoga.
I integrate yoga. I don't have a specific yoga practice, but I integrate yoga as well as functional qigong and other movement modalities into the postural correction workouts that I do, as well as the self-fascial release stuff. I kind of combine a little bit of all movement modalities into whatever's needed most, whatever's most relevant to target a specific muscle group or a specific goal, whether that's working on balance or postural integrity or just overall stability of a particular region and that kind of stuff.
Greatest said that it was fine and that they could still follow along.
Okay, good.
So yeah, one of the things that I'm really wanting to communicate on here is all of the things that I learned in that period of time, especially in the beginning, because I was really kind of almost operating in a meditative state where I could look sort of within myself and within my body, and when things would come up and like things would trigger me or whatever, I would be able to feel it in a very specific area of my body. And having the information, of understanding, like the Keylontic science information with the different energy centers and the chakras and the realms and how all of that is like fractally correlated, and being able to move that energy within myself and then seeing the external reflection change, that's really the stuff that I want to communicate and teach. And like when we do sessions and stuff like that, that's what I'll be teaching people how to do, is how to look at that, how to move that energy. And Sydney is going to be sort of the facilitator of moving energy physically, right? And showing how those correspondences like actually tie in, right? So there's so much that I learned, and it was really, really neat having the experience of like just sort of unplugging from everything and living the experience and like pretty much knowing what to do and listening to my inner voice. It's like there's a place for like doing that deep dive and doing that research and gaining all of that knowledge and consuming information, but there's a time to like take a step back and unplug and allow yourself to just live life. And that's basically what I was doing. Yeah, embodiment. And yeah, I feel like there was a part of me that like, because my framework on here had been doing research, making videos based on the research, doing research, making videos based on the research, providing sources, right? Providing links, providing information, tying all of it together, watching movies, explaining those. There was a part of me that kind of felt like useless, like I wasn't doing anything, like I wasn't on my mission, like, oh my God, like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But looking back in hindsight, it's like, no, I was doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing, and I needed that break, and like I needed that time to myself, and I needed time to integrate and embody like what I'd actually learned. And there was a long period of time that was very, very difficult, but like I needed all of those experiences to get here today.
Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power.
Right.
It is the integration and embodiment that turns it into useful knowledge and eventually wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, all the knowledge in the world is pretty useless without experience. And information is information. And unfortunately, one of the things that we're dealing with that I have been trying very, very hard to help people parse through is how to discern what is accurate information and what is not. And that's very difficult. I'm still practicing this every day. And if you watch my older content, like there was a lot of stuff that I talked about in the first year or two that I've had to go back and correct, and that'll be one of the things that I do moving forward. That's one of the reasons why I just like decided, I'm just gonna get rid of the older videos for now. I will go through them and I will make them available as I see fit. For those of you who are watching, if you're someone who has watched for a long time, if you want a specific video that you remember that you felt was important to be made available, let me know. Drop a comment and I'll go back and review it and see if it's something that I'm okay with putting back up. I may also decide to take that video and do like a picture-in-picture and do like a narrative or talk over so I can explain it in context. But yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of the older stuff that is useful content. It's just that like some of it is so far from who I am now that like it's just a lot of it was like angry, you know, and I just don't want to be putting that out there. Hold on. I'm just trying to see.
Live chat on?
It can't. No, it won't do that. I have to hit this to get it to come up for some reason.
Yeah.
Did you read that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That'd be awesome. I'd love to work with you. I'm not sure if you're looking for like a class to attend, which again, hopefully we'll be doing on here soon, as well as TikTok. But I also do individual one-on-one sessions. I take a personal training approach to that. So, yeah, I've done just straight up yoga-based sessions with people. I've integrated yoga into more of a workout style session too. But yeah, we can talk about it, maybe do a little consultation and see what you're looking for exactly.
Yeah, and Sydney and I are obviously very similar in that, like, you know, we will tailor whatever we do to you and your needs and where you're at and, you know.
What your goals are.
Right. Adam, if you're local, I'm sure we could probably do that. If not, it would probably have to be a Skype session, a video session.
Zoom. I don't Skype.
Zoom. But yeah, we're totally open to doing like one-on-ones in person if you're within a reasonable distance from us.
I do really enjoy person-to-person, just live in-person sessions and working with people in person the best. So
yeah.
Yes, I've learned to accommodate and do pretty well over Zoom, but nothing beats in person. So yeah, if you're in the area, love to work with you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's actually one of the things that's been, I think, hard for me, and I think it's been a little bit difficult for Sydney too, is that we're both people that would much rather do it in person with you. But due to, like, for example, with me, the content that I'm teaching, like, I kind of have to do it this way because the number of people that I can even discuss these topics with, and have them actually like speak my language is very low. Like it always has been. There were quite a few people in St. Pete that I could talk to about some of these things, but there is only a handful of people that like totally speak my language. So in terms of like marketing and being able to connect with a good number of people, we kind of have to do it this way. We're hoping at some point that we can like open a center where, you know, people can kind of come to us. And I think that if we did have like a nice physical location with, you know, a few different people working there, it'd be a little bit easier because we could have people that did more of the mainstream stuff there as well. And then we could have, you know, the stuff that we really love doing as well. But we'll get there. It's a work in progress. I'm not a big fan of all the tech. I really, and the thing is like I grew up a computer nerd and like I know how to do it all. Like I can hook up and wire up anything.
But it's not good for you.
That's the thing is I noticed that when I was using this stuff all the time and I was on social media and all, my mental and emotional health went in the toilet, man. Like I was not okay, and making that change was really, really beneficial. And making this change, coming here and being like in a just more calm setting has been so beneficial for me in particular. I think Sydney's still adjusting to just being in a new place a little bit, but I think that she loves the birds and the nature.
Other than all the bugs, I've got so many bites on my arms and legs. Yeah. It's really testing my patience on not to itch them. I don't know how well I'm doing with that, but yeah.
So does anybody have any questions for us or about I've been loving the Keylontic science topic. So like,
I
if
like
you have
human
any
design.
human design, what are the what do you say are the topics
Ooh.
that you like? Teacher and witch hazel. Okay, we'll try that.
I'll write it down.
What are the
Thank you,
topics
Crystal.
that you would like to kind of like get some questions about or nerd out on? For me, it's Keylontic science, twin flames, Halkunst. Nobody ever asks me any Halkunst questions, but homeopathy. But what is it for you? I know,
And then
obviously,
for
human
me,
design.
human design, biomechanics, bioenergetics, biotherapy altogether. I like to I just like to tie in lots of modalities and find the connections between them. I do that with more of the physical plane, and you do that more in the mental plane, so to say.
I'm the head case. That's me. So that's where we sort of come together, right? And it was funny because I'd spent so much time like in my head, like researching, like, with my face buried in a screen or a book for like years and years and years, like trying to consume all the information that I could, and my body kind of got neglected, right? And it was really like, I actually was like asking for, like, I need someone to help me like fix my body. Like my body's starting to like, I'm starting to have pain in certain places, and like injuries that I had years ago are like starting to crop up. And then she showed up, and it was like perfect because we spoke the same language, but Sydney had more of a body-oriented approach, whereas mine was really a lot in the mental space. So we're kind of meeting in the middle a little bit.
And focusing on emotions and emotional healing, because at the end of the day, that's where a lot of the root cause issues and patterns trace back to. Stuff with the emotional body that's not talked about nearly enough. So hopefully we can get it up there. What's it say?
If the bug bites, itch, rub salt and water on them vigorously. Let sit and dry. The salt will draw out the poison. That's a good tip.
Thank you. Definitely taking note of that.
Been occasionally taking Epsom salt baths. We've been able to do that. But yeah, what were we talking about before?
You took the mental approach, I took the physical approach, and when you met me, it's
Yeah.
kind of another sign to focus on your body a little better.
Yeah, so I'm still in the process of really trying to get started with that. We've been pretty good about like the food that we eat and stuff, making small improvements. And I think that that's really, what one should expect of themselves, to make small, gradual changes over time. Let's see. How do you know someone is your twin flame? I've had a clairvoyant dream that I lived through. Constant synchronicity, dark side of Cupid, Aryan love bite experiences. I just don't know though. Well, I'm gonna tell you what I've pretty much always said on the channel, and that is my approach is not to be concerned about what exactly the person is in terms of categorizing it. Are they a soulmate? Are they your twin flame? Are they a love bite? Are they a shadow twin? Are they a catalyst twin? Are they a twin ray?
What's a love bite?
The alien love bite is basically it's when hyperdimensional beings such as, and not limited to, reptilians or something like that, or demons, use someone, and basically they imitate what seems like a twin flame dynamic through someone.
Is that the same as a shadow twin?
Sort of, yeah, basically it would be. And they use that person to either drain you, keep you in dysfunctional patterning, keep you in a low vibration, make you confused, and the best thing that they could do from their point of view is actually turn you into a dark being and get you into dark occult practices and that type of thing, and invert you. But basically, to answer your question, I don't have a concrete answer for that. I can tell you that in my personal situation, there were 3 different people that at the time I was like convinced like this person is my twin. If the person is like into like any dark occult stuff like that, or there's any kind of like, you know, working with demons or anything like that, that's a huge red flag, and that's a no, like hard stop there. Um, yeah, well, you know, there's people that do white magic and stuff like that, so I wouldn't necessarily say that, but yeah, my answer for that is that it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that at the time you will attract a reflection that is what you need at that time. And it's important not to convince yourself that you have to be with this person because they are your quote unquote, sorry, I keep putting my hand over here, but they are your quote unquote, I know, they are your quote unquote twin flame, so it has to be them. That's how people get into like very toxic cycles. That's how people get like hooked on the tarot readings for years and years and years, and just like really upset and like heartbroken and that type of thing. And I've been there and I get it, like, you know, but my advice is not to get fixated on one person. Understand that the reflection that you're currently attracting is what's necessary for your evolution. If they are your twin flame, when you bring yourself up into a high frequency, and if you're meant to be together, there's some twins that like have on a soul level, like a contract, like we're not doing that this time. There's a lot of different situations and arrangements that can occur, but the most important thing is to do your inner work. And once you get to a certain frequency where you two can be in the same space and it doesn't like blow you apart, then you'll know. But if I'm gonna say that if you're like the average person that's had an awakening, it's pretty unlikely that you're gonna meet and stay with your true twin flame anytime like real soon. You're gonna have to do like a lot of inner work. It's a journey, it's a process, it's gonna take time. I don't fixate on the idea that like me and Sydney are twin flames. I don't get like super wound up about that. I believe that it's true. I believe that's exactly what we are. And I guess I can only speak from my experience in that with Sydney, there was a frequency and a feeling of love like nothing I'd ever felt. Like it just like completely like blew me out of the water. And it actually was so intense that I think it even scared Sydney, because I don't think she'd ever experienced anything like that. I hadn't either, but I'd had a lot of experience with the other side of that, being like in a really horrible frequency. So this was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I had a big lesson of listening to my heart over listening to my head, because they were contradicting each other throughout that entire experience, and I let my head win a couple times, and yeah, so
And
I'm a lot more in tune with my intuition, and I have a lot of contrast as to what's coming from my thoughts, which we all are. I'm sure most people who watch your work in this content, our thoughts are not ours. Our thoughts are temporary things that come and go, and when we hold on to them too tight and really lean into the narrative more than we should, it can create a lot of associated feelings and emotions that can confuse the intuitive feeling with the perception driven emotional feelings. So I got a big lesson on that all of last year, and yeah, I'll just keep it short and sweet with that.
so to just continue finishing the point I was making earlier, with my experience when I met Sydney, I've talked about like the twin flames and the magic of 12, the Keylontic science thing, the idea that the way that the soul incarnates here is that it essentially it splits into masculine and feminine aspects, right? It's a polarized reality field. As the soul moves into this plane, it actually reflects that polarization. Now, it's not as simple as two, one male, one female. There's 12 incarnates, and the 6 and the 12, if you were to look at a clock, are what are called the primary twins, and it will be a female, in accordance with the law of gender and the mechanics of the reality field, right? And that's just how it works. It's not like the laws of spiritual physics, or let's say what's the word I'm looking for? Prejudiced. It's just the way it works. It's like math. And so basically, with her, it was like she reminded me of the first one, right? Who I did have a psychic connection with. I did have a lot of the same stuff with, just not at the same level. She did remind me a lot of the second one, who was basically like an inverted version of her. She did remind me of a lot of people in my life. It's just that all of those things and all those experiences that I was having with the other people were like multiplied by 10 with her. And just the level of like telepathy, the level of things like when she touched me for the first time, I just kept looking at her like, are you even real? Because what it felt like was so weird. It was so strange. We had, the goo feeling. I've talked about the goo on my channel. I experienced the goo with Sydney. Like for like 2 or 3 months, I just felt like my whole body was made of jelly. Like it was really weird. And there's so much that I can't even remember. I remember at the time wanting to write all of it down so that I could give people a more concrete list of like, how do you really know? You know? But my whole thing is that like, to me, it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is like the reason why you meet that person, the reason why you're having this experience. And the reason why you're having this experience is so that you can have that reflection that you need in order to evolve and grow. And that is the important part. Because listen, if they are your true twin, in a very real sense, they are you occupying another vessel. And the idea that you could ever be separated from yourself is nuts. It's, yes, there's a physical separation that on this plane is very real, but in the end, you're one being. You are one thing. There's a video by this guy, a New World All-Star, and I don't agree with everything he teaches, but there was one video that he made, and it's What Are Twin Flames, is a part 1 and 2, where he goes into some, pretty basic concepts, about the idea of essentially oneness. And it's like, you are a part of the all, right? You're a microcosmic. Show it if you want. Yeah.
Well, do you want to explain it?
I'm not ready really to explain this, but
okay, well then don't worry about
it's basically like this is you and this is your twin flame, right? And so you're seeing them as separate from you, right? And at some point you have the realization that this isn't true. It's this whole thing, right? And then you have the realization that it's actually this, right? It's just one thing. And that's you, the universe, the world, the planet, every other thing. It's just that in terms of mechanics, if you were looking at the way that the original source of light gets bent and split and bent and split, right? You're just the closest thing to your counterpart. But you're the same thing with everyone else. It's just that you're a few degrees away more. I need to design my own sort of visual representation of this to convey the concept better. But that's basically what it boils down to. Everyone is a reflection of you. It's just a matter of to what degree. With us, it's like we were perfect reflections on every level and everything that we looked at. Physically, we had physical features that were like identical. We had, yes, quantum entanglement. We were always feeling the same emotional state. Always. I could tell how in the beginning we were. I could always tell how you were feeling. I would always you'd reach out to me when I wasn't well or vice versa.
Oh, okay,
right?
that's what you mean.
I could always feel you.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean? Always. Even when you were 2,000 miles away, I knew it was going on. I could feel it. I would see it in my mind. Like I just, it's just, and it was so many things. And really what's happening with this whole process is that you truly are in the process of merging, right? You're in the process of merging and becoming one mind. and that that you take steps up towards that. But it's not just you and them, it's you and the other 10 counterparts as well. And then when you start getting to a higher frequency, it's you and the other 144 that are a part of the next collective. And eventually you step up into being one mind with the great mind, with all that is, right? And this is the experience that people have, like when they take a high dose of psychedelics, for example, or when they reach a deep meditative state, or the things that they talk about in yoga. So it's a slow stair-step process of ascension. And part of ascension is swapping codes with your twin flame. One of the things that people miss is that it doesn't have to be your twin flame. It can be someone who's a close enough vibrational match for you to swap those codes. Your twin flame might not be incarnate right now. Your true twin flame. You might have to interact with them astrally to get those codes and swap the information to complete the genetic puzzle, which is ascension, bioregenesis, right? But one way or another, if you're meant to do it, it will happen. And everyone is meant to do it. It's just a question of whether they're meant to do it right now. Are they, during this cycle, meant to step up to the next level or not? That's it. They might have to wait another 26,000 years or whatever it is, So yeah, I realize that was a very, very long-winded and not so concrete answer, but I hope that it's helpful. I very much try to get people to stay away from all of the content that keeps you hooked on this topic and that keeps you pining over the other person and it keeps you in a state of dysfunction, or that keeps people like putting up with things like abuse, or putting up with poor treatment, putting up with being ghosted or anything like that. Like, you don't need that, man. You don't need that shit in your life. Like, and yeah, if somebody's treating you like really poorly for like an extended period of time, it's not just maybe that they're going through something, or maybe that they have a lesson that they need to learn temporarily in a short time. Someone's treating you like for me, like it was a person who treated me like crap for like 5 years. That is not your true twin flame. Like, I could tell you, it's a lot easier for me to tell you who isn't than necessarily who is. I also won't tell you, like, if I think that they're your twin flame or not, because it's like up to you. You need to figure that out. I'm not going to tell you that because I don't want to be the reason you do or don't end up with that person. I want you to figure it out for yourself. I want to give you the tools to be able to heal yourself and to be able to navigate this place yourself and to be able to pull yourself out of like the dark place yourself. I'll help you, I'll teach you what I know and what I've learned, but I'm not here to enable people, and I'm not here to sell you tarot readings and promise you that the person you think is your twin flame is your twin flame,
And I take the same approach with the physical healing element. I'm all about integrating all the tools to add to your toolbox, to be able to use whenever you need it, and learn learn which tools to use when and how to use them most effectively. So again, no one can heal you other than yourself, and so realizing that and stepping into your power is the first step.
No fear, no worries. Yes, Nigel says exactly, the mind is like a radio without an off switch. Yeah, it really is, in a lot of ways, similar to like an antenna or a transceiver. You're tuning in with different levels of the field, essentially. And one of the things that a lot of people deal with is that, for example, when you're in a depressed state and people have like those thoughts of self-harm or killing themselves or anything like that, you don't understand that those thoughts are not coming from you. They are not coming from the true you. They're coming from essentially like
ego minds,
lower
perception
ego,
driven
entity
emotions.
attachments, demons, etc., things like that. is it important to get to a physically different location? If you're in a, I mean, I'm just going to speak for myself. If you're in a location or in a place, or you're around toxic people or energies that are not congruent with who you are, yes, you can do internal work to be able to better adapt to that type of place, but you should be in a place that like you actually feel good in. And you know, some people feel good being in a city and living that type of lifestyle. Some people like myself feel good in that type of environment at a certain point in their life.
And human design can give you more on
Yeah.
the energetic blueprint as to what environment you'll thrive best in.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that can be a good tool for like figuring out like what's best for you. But I mean, for me, yeah, I hate the city too. We were in this city and we lived in a place with some roommates who were good guys and everything,
But unconscious.
energetic environment was not good for us, and especially not good for me. It was constant, and you know, people like that. If you're someone like on a mission and you're trying to communicate this level of information, the other side is going to use everything and everyone around you to try to mess with you and to try to interfere and to put roadblocks in your way. And any type of, like she said, unconscious, organic portal, NPC type person,
You can think about
will be
it
coming
like
at you all the time.
you can think about it like that new Matrix movie when they can literally program anyone to carry out a specific task and then their eyes change and they go back to normal. That's pretty much what's happening.
Yep, the Agent Smiths.
I'm
Let's
talking about
see.
when regular people, their eyes would all of a sudden turn into the green
Yeah, no.
codes, and then
yeah.
they do something, but then it'd go back to normal.
Yeah, they all of a sudden get plugged into the grid and they start, you know, and that's what demons do. They hijack people. And the tech can essentially be a conduit for that type of energy to move into a vessel and use that person to attack you. And like I said, when you're trying to climb the ladder of consciousness and you're trying to ascend and you're trying to expand, you're going to have this stuff coming at you all the time, especially if you're like someone who's trying to teach this stuff and help other people. It's constant. It's all the time. It will come at you from all angles, friends, family, acquaintances, random people on the street, like random homeless people walking up and screaming at you for no reason. Like, yeah, it happens. like, it's just nuts. And the tech is the biggest, from what I can see right now, is the biggest conduit for this type of dark energy. Like, there was one point we were trying to make videos. Every single time we would fire up the camera, about 5 or 10 minutes beforehand, one of us would get some kind of text or electronic communication that would trigger us and totally throw our energy off. It happened like clockwork every single time. In the house I was living in, every single time for a year that I tried to meditate, the house could be dead quiet, you hear a pin drop. I'd lay down to meditate. Within 5 minutes, something would happen. The people across the street would start blaring the radio. The dog would start barking. Roommate would knock on the door and need something. Someone would text me or something. You know, I would forget to turn my phone off. It didn't matter. There was always something that would happen. The other thing, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but now we're in an environment where that isn't as much of a problem, so
Yeah.
we can direct our energy a little more effectively and efficiently. We always would say how it felt like we were in a pressure cooker there, and just the energetic congestion that cities can produce, and so yeah, it makes it
Yeah.
a lot more common for things to be coming from all angles. But again, trying to shift it over to where we're at now and how that is a lot better. Of course, there is always going to be little things here and there, but for the most part, this environment shift has been very conducive to moving out of that, what's the Hellkunst energy of annoyance and frustration? Staff?
Nope. Malaria.
That, yeah.
The feeling that you get when you're being attacked by mosquitoes and you're like feeling like itchy and like, oh my god, I can't get away from this. That's malaria energy. It's a miasm. But yeah, so my last part of the answer I would give you for that is that a lot of people in the spiritual community like make you always the problem. So like if you're in a toxic environment, well, you're attracting that with your energy. Well, you know, part of manifestation, it's not just the internal work. It's thinking, feeling, and willing, doing, taking action, right? And sometimes the action you might need to take is to set boundaries with people and like get the hell out of a toxic environment. So yeah, I would say that if you're in an environment that's not good for you, absolutely get out of it. Why wouldn't you? Why would you put yourself through that? It's almost like martyr consciousness, right? Which we get taught a lot in our religious teachings. So
Which I know quite a good bit about from my personal life experiences. I'm sure we can dive deeper into that topic another time.
no fear. I understand, and I'm sorry to hear that. I totally understand where you're at. And yes, that's the attitude. You can find a way. They said they're broke. Yes, that's the attitude. You can, and you will find a way to get yourself out of there. Because it's like a feedback loop with that type of stuff, right? The environment that you're in sets up things that make it impossible for you to get out of it. And that's exactly what was happening with me. It's like the environment that I'm in is making me feel so heavy and so toxic and so not okay all the time that I'm not able to do the things that I need to do to get out of it, you know? But I think that if you set your intention and you know, I like, you know, prayer is a good thing to use, and ask your higher self, ask for guidance, ask for help. I think it will show up when you need it.
Yeah, and stay open-minded. Don't limit the manifestation of finding the way out to a particular way, or just stay open-minded. Leave some room for opportunity for the universe to surprise you. Source, God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't anticipate this particular arrangement that we're in right now, but it's definitely like working. The other thing, you know, that I would say on that tack is that, like, I do view my experience there at that location somewhat as training for a period of time, right? It was like I needed that lesson for a period of time. I needed to learn how to cope with that environment for a period of time. But there was a point where it got to be like, you know what, like, we're at the point of diminishing returns. I'm no longer learning anything from this. I'm no longer improving like I was. Things are starting to go down and things are compounding and piling up. And it's time for me to find something more congruent. It's time for me to move on. And so there can be a time where you get put in a situation like that, or your higher self or wherever puts you in a situation like that for a little while, to teach you certain lessons. But, you know, it really depends. Every situation is different. You know, you may, what I'm saying is that you may need to be in that environment for a short period of time, you know, yourself out of it. So that attitude will serve you well if that's what you're there for.
Could also be with the theme of patience and the theme of acceptance. I had a really good quote along these lines I wrote down a while ago, or a couple weeks ago. I want to see if I can find it. Something about how you can't change it until you accept it. But it was more, had some other words in there with it too, and to make it sound a little more poetic. But I'm not going to be able to find it on the spot, but
Yeah,
I will.
If you do. We've been on for
along those lines.
58 minutes. So, how are you feeling about?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'm good. I end up doing like 2-hour lives on my TikTok by accident, so
Yeah.
time isn't really a problem for me, but this lighting is really bothering me.
Red Hot Picker says, is it normal that after all the strange stuff we've been through in modern times, I feel completely removed from the old world? Everything has a weird and strange tone to it now. I mean, my opinion, I feel the same way.
About the sun.
I feel like 2 years ago there was a physical manifestation of an energy shift that we went through, and everything is different. Everything is different. I feel like every person I see is like a modified version of themselves. They're not the same. Their eyes look different. Everyone feels different to me. Everyone's like very, very like edgy and like very easily triggered, and like they don't think the same way that they used to. No fear. I'm not familiar with the Flash. Are you talking about?
Flash?
This is Flash.
Oh.
The EMCO, the electromagnetic plasma changeover event. Is that what you're talking about?
Whatever happened with Scion? No. Cernan? No.
CERN.
CERN. Whatever
Solar
happened
flare.
With that. Oh,
What do you mean what happened with it? They turned it on.
nothing
And
bad
they've started
happened?
doing experiments. I mean, if something bad were to happen,
We would know about it by now.
yeah, I mean, you would. Now, is it having energetic effects and opening portals on, a
actual
non-physical level?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. So, solar flare, do I think it'll happen? That's really hard to say. Solar flares happen all the time. It's just a question of where it's aimed. I can't say,
Schumann has been crazy lately.
Yeah, it has.
I'll pull it up.
That's another thing that people are feeling.
Especially the last 3 days.
But yeah, Red Hot Picker, I feel the same way. I feel like everything has shifted. Everything's different. And from my perspective, not in a good way. There's so many things. And most of it has to do with this tech. Surveillance, control, people really not having the ability to think independently whatsoever. People thousands of miles away, all, just like following the script that's laid out in the mainstream media and like doing, being upset about exactly what they're supposed to be this week and forgetting about whatever it was they were upset about last week. It's just, to me, it's really sad.
I was trying to pull up the Schumann resonance, but I have zero connection.
Yeah, we're having some Wi-Fi issues, but we're figuring it out.
Oh, it's wonky again today. Is that much of it supposed to be green?
Well, I mean, I used to do a lot of videos on the Schumann. That's a pretty, there's...
This is the Schumann resonance right now, and it's lost.
No, that's like an ad thing.
Of course.
But I mean, you're seeing some minor spikes, but the Schumann overall seems to be at all times emitting more energy than it was a few years ago when I was following that. No, I don't see any dramatic spikes on there, but I made videos on here about fractal correlation between ROMs, ROM divergence, the frequency fences and all that type of stuff, correlating that with the information from Voyager's 1. So yeah, no, you're not alone. And it's hard. I get it. I really get it. I feel the same way. Sometimes I feel like, I'm the only one. I'm really, really grateful to have Sydney, always with me, so that like I know that like at least someone else can see it, and she's here all the time, so it's like I'm never alone anymore. But for years it was like I was seeing this stuff and I had nobody except for people on here. That was the big reason why I got so heavy into YouTube, was because it was the only way for me to talk to people that understood me and could see what I was seeing. When you go out there, it's like living. I feel like an alien. I feel so weird, like being out with like regular folk, because they're just so mind controlled. Like they're so mind controlled. They're not. Like there's nobody behind those eyes, man. Like they're running the software. They're literally like wetware. Like it's bad. It's bad out there, guys. It's scary. It's scary because when you can extrapolate out where this can get to, and if things keep going the way that they're going, it might not take very long. So, I'm going to be talking about gearing up, prepping, getting ready for things, and I don't mean like going like, crazy like prepper. Building an underground bunker type situation, because if it gets there, a lot of people are not going to even want to deal with that. But to a degree, some preparations are necessary for what's going on. And, I do have faith, and I feel that we've been given the tools that we need. But, I want to be able to talk to people about that and teach that. And that type of information, we're going to be making a Patreon for it. Because I'm not putting it on YouTube. I've dealt with too many problems too many people messing with me, too much interference, and plus it's time for me to get something back from this. I've provided a ton of free information, and I love doing that, and I will continue to provide information for free, but there's some stuff for security and safety purposes, and just for, the fact that we gotta eat, we gotta live. I'm gonna be doing a Patreon, and basically putting out some premium content.
It's already up, Sovereign Synergy,
So,
just nothing posted yet.
Yep, we're working on it right now. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff we're doing, but yeah, there's a lot going on in the world, and it's difficult to navigate, I think, for everyone. So yeah, but do know that there are people like yourself that see the same things you do, that feel the same way that you do, and there are a lot more of us than you would think, because it's kind of like those of us who do think in this way remain silent most of the time, when we're out in public, because
It's not worth it.
the way these people have been programmed to react to you is violent, and it's not okay. And they're all doing so under the premise and the idea that they're on the right side of things, but they're the ones aggressing. So it's really messed up. People are really warped and inverted, and everything's flipped upside down. Good is bad, right is wrong. It's really messed up right now. But understand that, like, it is part of the process of wherever it is we're going, and it's not going to stop. All we can do is learn how to navigate it and deal with it, and try to keep ourselves, centered, and ride out the storm, man. That's what we got to do. There's no other option right now.
Hang tight with your tribe.
Unless and until we learn how to spin our molecules at a different angle and move into the
So
Stargate.
they become silicon-based
Yeah.
rather than carbon-based. We can
Yeah.
go through Stargate. We'll see.
Yeah. We're doing our best. If we figure it out, we'll let you know. We'll come back and let you know.
We got a long way to go in that regard.
But yeah, basically the idea of moving, up in density through Merkaba vehicle, and moving through stargates and that type of stuff. That's the information that, like, Ashayana Dean gets into a lot, and we've really been nerding out on her lectures, like, a lot.
Not recently, but
not
in general.
but a lot.
In fact, I'd like to watch a video after this.
Yeah, we could do that. But yeah, I love her content. A lot of the stuff that's available for free is old, but if this is the first you've heard of this, go on BitChute and type in KS space library,
I need to stretch.
and you will find a couple of hundred videos of her workshops and her speaking, and it's gold. AscensionGlossary.com is like a wiki style website that has the Guardian information, Keylontic science information. And I do have quite a few resources and handbooks and PDFs and stuff like that. And like earlier today, I had somebody ask, like, hey, is the Voyagers 2 PDF available for download? And I copied and pasted a link to my Google Drive, and was able to provide that. So I've got a Google Drive with like a bunch of stuff on it, all the workshop handbooks and all of the graphics and everything I could get my hands on. I've got backups of all of it, and I've been working on providing like just a link, and like maybe even making a website that explains what everything is, and having links to all of those PDFs and stuff, so that the resources are more available for people, because this information is really crucial, and I don't know why it's not more widely available, other than the fact that like they were heavily attacked and targeted, and I think that they kind of went underground a little bit, because I've dealt with the same thing. It's just like you can only take that beating for so long before you need a rest, man. So if there's no more questions, and if you have nothing else that you'd like to go into, Sydney, I'd like to wrap it up.
That's fine. I need to stretch my legs.
Okay. And Sydney will be doing live classes on here. At some point, we may do a couple of those things together, but Sydney's basically doing the fascial maneuver and flow classes herself, and she's got her program that she's put together. So she's going to be on here doing that again. And we're going to have like a regular schedule. This is the first thing that we have like regularly scheduled. Like every Friday at 1 p.m. EST, there will be a live stream. And we're going to make sure that we're consistent with that and that we're here every week. We would love it if you guys would join us. And, you know, if we get enough interaction on here, we could potentially do other times too for people that are in other time zones that maybe can't make it at 1 p.m. on a Friday. But we can definitely talk about that moving forward. But for now, this is the deal. We both are open to sessions. I guess my website is working. I just found out this morning. That's another thing I would like to address. My email and my website were like down for like a while, and I literally just popped on my email today, and I had a few emails from people, and I'm really sorry to those of you who maybe tried to reach out to me. I wasn't ignoring you. It's been all messed up. I didn't think that my website was even functional because the last time that I knew it wasn't, and now it is. So someone booked a session, and so you can book a session if you'd like one with me, and if you would like one with Sydney, let everybody know what the best way to do that is.
I have a link tree both in my Instagram bio and my TikTok bio. It's the same link tree, so either one you find first
Okay.
shall do. You can book a session. I do personal trainings for postural correction and self-fascial release work. That goes more into the emotions and meridians, chakras, that kind of thing, as well as putting a heavier focus on the emotional and perceptual body. If you're just looking for a workout and to have better posture in the process of that, then that would be the simple synergy stuff. So, and there's an option where you can do both. So it's 45-minute workout followed by a 45-minute self-fascial release. I've been playing around with that one, both in my own practice and with a couple people, and it's been going really well. So, yeah, if any of that resonates, Linktree is in Instagram or TikTok.
Yeah, and I'll actually take the Linktree link and put it in the description of the video, or maybe in a comment. Either way, it'll be available. You guys will have access to it. There will be modifications made to the websites and things of this nature moving forward. At some point, we're going to be doing like Zoom classes. I've really always had this idea of wanting to do like a group thing, like maybe like on a Sunday or something, like every week, like have a group chat. I would love for us to have a men's group and a women's group as well. You know, so basically do both of those things moving forward. But we're going to take things one step at a time here. I think we will end up doing that. But, you know, it'll be, you know, maybe a few weeks from now or a couple months from now. We'll figure it out.
Together?
Yeah, and you can book a session with us together if you like. I put that in the video.
Okay,
but yeah,
okay.
if you want to do a
Yes.
joint session with both of us, we can totally do that too. We can address the physical. We can talk about how it corresponds to the emotional. We can do release work. I'd be the one who like explains like all the technical crazy stuff about like how it relates to this and that.
And then I guide us through the movement part.
Yeah, so that's also an option. Yeah, so thank you all for joining us today. It's been fun again. Hopefully next time we'll have all of the technical issues sorted out so we can just hop on here and be like, all right, you know, just chill, just relax, you know.
And have the wireless mics hooked up. I
Yeah.
think that's going to help with the audio quality a lot.
Yeah, we got some mics that are really good and cool, so we're going to work on getting those going. So, yep, thank you everyone, and we will see you next Friday at 1 p.m., if not sooner. Have a great
Namaste.
evening.